Alright, so we're back in effect. Today we're going to do a new scratch that I saw last month during the Clash of the Titans battle at the Sample Music Festival. I saw Marvel do it, and this is a really sick scratch. It's basically a Scribble Flare, a Scribble and a Flare hybrid, so a Scribble Flare. And so I wrote it down after I saw it and last month, and this is what it looks like. We'll get into, I'm going to draw a better version of this, but this was just a note, you know, like a jot that I had written down after I saw the battle. So I saw Marvel doing this, and I was like, wow, that's really sick. It's real simple, and as you can see, it's only got 2 clicks, but it makes about 8 sounds. Whereas you see this chirp flare that's right above it. It's about the same. It's the same type of pattern. It's you're switching the chirp with the scribble there, or tipping, if you want to call this, you know, tipping, fast tipping. And basically, you know, you can go super fast with this. Okay. Now, so you see it's just a scribble. So it's just basically a scribble and then a flare at the end. And what's interesting is that in my last lecture, I gave a preview of this. I did it for a little bit at the end of this 4-hour lecture I just did on scratch notation history. Like that. So alright, so that's the next tutorial that I'm going to be dropping. And you know, in that preview, I was saying I'm going to drop this lecture this week on this scratch. But you know, Kin1 Tokyo out of Japan, shout out to Kin1. He actually beat me to it, and he did a quick like 30-second tutorial on this exact same scratch that I had previewed. So I'll show a little clip of his.
小さいベイビースクラッチが2発のあと1クリックと。はい。で。でこれのさらに詰めたバージョン。はい。
And so we're gonna do this today. All right. Now, so yeah, this scratch is really sick because you can go super fast. It works best as a cross rhythm, but you can use it as double time, half speed, you know. And it's basically like a Kermit scratch because a Kermit has 2 chirps and then a flare. So instead of chirping, it's basically like a Kermit scratch without chirps. And you could also look at it as like a what you call a jackhammer without all the closed fader, the 3 closed fader clicks. And I'll put a picture of a jackhammer in there. Alright, so yeah, basically, you know, this cut's really sick. This is one of my favorite new cuts. This whole year I've pretty much been practicing cuts that don't take a lot of clicks, but make a lot of sounds. So this thing makes 8 sounds, and it, you know, and it's only 2 clicks. So as you can see right here, it's only 2 clicks and 8 sounds. Okay? Whereas, like, you know, if you're doing a Kermit, it'd be 4 clicks and 8 sounds. Actually, you know what? Yeah, so let's do that. So we're gonna do the cross rhythm version. All right, now we're gonna do this one. So it's like a clear bar. Let's speed this up. Super slow. Okay, I'm going to go to 115. 115 beats per minute. Alright. Get this sped up a little bit. I was doing this. Now I'm just going to do the regular pattern. let's speed it up some. Let's see how fast we can go with this. And we're going up at 125. 125. Alright, let's go faster. Got 125, now we're going to go to 135. Alright. This one. Now I'm going to do this. Just a regular thing looping over and over. It's going to have that 3/4 vibe. So. Alright. So let's do this one again. Let's see what it sounds like with ah. Now we're just going to do this. Move up. We go to 145. Now as we go faster, I'm just going to do these, because when you start to go really fast and you just loop the pattern over and over, it can get, you know, it can kind of hypnotize you and get you off beat, kind of. Alright, see? What's that? That's 145? So you see, this is great for electro. It's great for double time. You know, we already passed electro. Now we're at 145. You know, this is like some, you know, grime kind of speed. You know, dirty south, double time. Alright, let's speed it up. See if we can go even faster. I'm going to go 155. But after this, we're just going to go by 5. You see, I've been jumping by 10s, but 10 beats per minute. But now I'm just going to jump by 5. So I was doing this one. This cross rhythm pattern you can do with it, you know, it kind of keeps it in 4/4, because this pattern innately, just like the chirp flare, is pretty much like a 3/4, you know, or 6/8 kind of a pattern where you know, it's more about it's more divisible by threes. So, you know, it's going to go great in songs that are like in 3/4 and stuff like that. But if you're putting over a regular beat, you know, either you're going to probably use it as a cross rhythm or slow it down super slow for double time or something like for half speed. I mean, so you know, so here we're gonna go. Then we're also gonna do this over some beats and stuff like that to show you how fast this thing can go. But we're gonna start out drumming. Okay. So here it goes. Alright, so it can go really fast. Alright, so I think it can go pretty fast. Let's see if we can go even faster. Alright, let's try it with the ah sound. So we're going to try the scratch with a lot of different sounds today. Because every scratch sounds, you know, better on some sounds than others. So we're going to kind of review these different sounds in this record. So. Alright, so that was a combo that I was just doing, and we'll go back to that. That's just like a general cross rhythm where I'm doing the scratch twice, and then I'm throwing on a short flare in the end of it so it's one full bar. So that was one full bar where it's going like that. I'll use another. That's a little bit better, higher quality. That one's all muffled. You can tell I've scratched it a million times. This is my practice record. Alright? So it's like that. So let's try that again. So. Alright. Let's go back to the drums. So that's a pattern, that's a cross rhythm that's basically just doing two of the scribble flares and then one small flare at the end that's shorter than the other flares. Okay. Alright, but if we just continuously loop it, see I was doing that, I was adding that extra flare at the end so it's a continuous loop as a cross rhythm, because cross rhythms kind of go against the rhythm in a different time signature. So now I'm just going to do the loop over and over again, and you're going to see that it just creates kind of a, you can make it do like an upbeat kind of jungle kind of rhythm, or you can make it more of like a 3/4 but kind of rhythm, but in general it's still going to have a kind of a triplet feel. So see how fast I can go. So let's go back to the ah sound. Now we're going to do a little bit more with the ah sound. So. Alright, so that was it with the ah scratch. Now we're gonna try it. We're gonna go back. Let's try it on fresh. See what it sounds like on fresh. All right. Let's try another sound. So let's go back to that other beat. All right. Let's try another part. So that was some examples of going from a down tempo pattern and then doing the scribble flare as an up tempo pattern. But remember, this can also be used as a cross rhythm. But if you're going to use it as a cross rhythm, then the beat's not going to be like a slow kind of down tempo beat. It's going to be more of like probably a faster electro beat. So okay, so we just did that as like a down tempo. We just did a down tempo beat that had the up tempo reply. Now we're going to do the we're alternating between the down tempo and the up tempo scribble flare. Now we're going to do the scribble flare as like a cross rhythm, so it's like this. So let's go back to that cross rhythm. So now we're just going to do the pattern again and just in like a 3/4 rhythm where we just kind of continuously loop it. So it's going to go. You see, it's just kind of a, you know, so. So, now we're going to go through some of these different samples all throughout here. Actually, you know what? Let's write it down first. Alright, so now we're going to write this down. We're going to show basically the TTM of this, and then I'm going to parallel it with some other scratches so we can see what this is. Alright, so this scratch is basically going like this. Alright, so let's draw right here, maybe like this. Alright, so I'm just going to draw a line like that. Alright. I'm going to draw something in the middle. Maybe the middle is more about right there. Maybe this go out a little bit farther. Maybe this come in a little bit. The middle's a little bit more centered. Alright, now, so basically I'm going to go like this. Alright, so this has two major parts. The flare is right here. Alright. Alright, the flare is right there. The flare is going like this. It's got a click right there. And a click right there. Alright, so that's a flare. So I'll write flare. Alright, and then the scribble is right here. So there's going to be a double little rub, like this. Like that. So it's a scribble. Alright, scribble flare. Like that. Very, very simple. Now the Kermit is basically the same thing. The Kermit's like this. I'll draw some other scratches to kind of parallel. Kermit uses the same principle. And the Kermit's like this. The Kermit's basically going like this. Is going same exact thing. Alright. Alright. And the Kermit goes like this. But the Kermit has two chirps. So it's a chirp right here and a chirp right there. Alright, so this is it's chirp, chirp, and then this is the flare. Now, and this is called a Kermit. Alright, so that's a Kermit. So yeah, and then this also kind of works kind of like how you might be able to use a chirp flare. You can move these to the scribble and make it even smaller, so it just takes up one space. So you can also, there's a lot of hybrids of this. You could also say you're going to do the scribble in even less time, like this, right? I could say like this. I got this flare, then like that. So this is a flare. Now instead of doing the scribble, that's making it just as long as the flare, the scribble can go even smaller, like this. This is halfway here, and let me make this circle a little bit bigger. Alright, now this is just going to go like this, like that. Alright, so this is going to be even smaller. So this is going, so this is what we're doing now. We're going waka 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 waka. Alright, so the scribble flare, you can do it like this. It can go like waka waka, right? But you can also make this scribble go smaller. So this is what we're focusing on today, is this one. This is you know, this is more like rubs because it doesn't feel like a scribble. All right, but this is the scribble. All right, and then this is the flare. All right, I'm gonna box this off, this Kermit. All right, but then this. So this is what we're doing today. This is the main part of the lecture, and I'll draw it again. So I'll draw. Let's see. I'll just draw it over here. So this is the Scribble Flare. Just make it a little bit more pronounced. All right, so I'll just go like this, and all right, so it's like that, and then we got the flare. All right. All right, so that's the Scribble Flare. So right, Scribble Flare. I'm going to put marble. Because this is the first, you know, people might have been doing this, but this is the first time I saw somebody do that. And he was doing it pretty fast, so he's really sick at it. So it's basically like this. So this is the Scribble Flare. And we're basically doing this version right here. So it's going waka 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 waka, you know. And then when I was doing that cross rhythm, I was doing this. I'll show you this cross rhythm variation. I was going waka 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 waka. When I was doing all that, like when I was doing the electro speed one, it was more like this. I was going. It was two Scribble Flares, so it was going like this basically. It was going. It's gonna go. So it's a scribble, and really this is going to come all the way down to the bottom because it's tipping, right? And then a flare. The flare is going to be about this is going to be about twice as long as that. All right, and then another thing right here, right, like that. I'll make this M thing go lower because it's really got to go down and tip, and then another flare, and then a little flare at the end. Good, and that's one bar. So one bar, and this is a two scribble flare plus this is probably a 66 D1, 66 distance, but I'm just gonna put flare right here. We'll figure out what the actual distance of it is later. But yeah, so this is what I was doing. I was going waka 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 waka, and I put that extra flare at the end to make just so that it ends off in one whole bar. All right, so I'm gonna make this a flare so you can see it. All right. Great. So the cross rhythm is like this. This is that cross rhythm I was doing. All right. So it's going waka 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 waka. All right. So I just added that little flare in there. So that's two scribble flares plus a flare at the end, and that makes one bar. But normally the combo is like this. We're doing the scribble and the flare. So it's going waka 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 waka. All right. So now we're just going to go through a lot of different samples and see what it sounds like. So first we're going to start with the original so we can have that kind of memorized. That's how it sounds. So it goes. Alright, so we're going to go through all the different sounds on here and see which ones sound the best. Because everything sounds different with different drums and different kits. So here we go. So let's start it. All right. I do not like how that sounds. That snare is just too loud and abrasive. So the kick is cool, of course, but the snare is just too loud for the kick. Alright. So let's look at this again. Alright, so now we're going to move to the next one. Alright, so alright, that sounds alright. Let's see what the cross rhythm sounds like. So it sounds very muffled. And also this kick is connected to a sound right before the kick. You can hear that sound, so it's not as sharp. You know, when you're tipping, you know, it's good to, you know, be at the beginning of the sound. That's why when I drew, you know, these, you know, because you can call this scribble or you can just call it tipping. You know, you want to come back to the beginning of the sound, and it's good to actually have like a little blank space right here, like where there's no sound at the very beginning, because then the cuts are sharper, but there's no blank space here. So anytime, so like I was saying in another lecture, anytime you're making a battle record, it's good to put some space in between these things so you can have sharper cuts. So the first TTM battle record we're going to drop soon, you know, there's going to be space between each cut so that when you do like chirp on these things, everything's going to be super sharp. So the samples aren't just going to kind of overlap, but there'll be little, you know, very small pauses of no sound. Okay, so let's try it again. Nope, don't like that. So let's move on. Let's move on to the next one. So this one sounds kind of cool. So. That one you can go really fast with. I like this one because the kicks and the snares are real light. Everything is real light, so when you're going super fast, nothing sounds real abrasive. It's all kind of, the levels are more even than that first one that we did. So let's do the cross rhythm again. All right, now let's just do the regular one, not a cross rhythm. So. Cool. I like that one. Let's go on to the next. That one doesn't have the right kick snare. So here goes. So this one is pretty loud. Let's turn it down a little bit. So kick has that kind of percolator sound, but I don't like how the snare just kind of sounds a lot more kind of abrasive. Let's try the cross rhythm. So this is the cross rhythm. So. So I liked how it sounded, but that snare, I wish it was just a little bit quieter on this one. You know? All right, so let's try the next one. Now this is the original. This is, you know, my favorite sound. This is what I always start off all these most recent drum tutorials with. This is with this one. So let's try it again. So. See how that one sounds a lot better than some of those other ones. All right, now we're go move on. All right, so all right, so you see I did both. I did this and that. So all right, so all right, yeah, I like how that sounds because that snare drum is really quiet. So it sounds more like a drummer just kind of going off than some weird, loud snare that just comes out of the blue. Let's try it again. All right. So. Let's try this on that electro style where I'm going to do the cross rhythm, but it's faster, so it's going to... Yeah, that's a little trial. Sounds cool. I like that one. See, this one you can't really, at the beginning that kick isn't sharp because there's a noise there, look. So the noise goes straight. See, the noise goes straight into the kick. That's why it's not as crisp as some of those other ones where there's a blank space before the kick drum. All right, so. let's see what it sounds like as the cross rhythm. So before I was just doing that, now we're going to see what it sounds like as the cross rhythm. All right, so let me make sure I circle this too, so you know that this is what we're focusing on. It's like a lion's mane. Okay, and I'm going to say this is cross rhythm. 1 bar cross rhythm. Alright, so it's a 1 bar cross rhythm. Alright, so we're going to put this back here. Okay, so so that sounded cool. That was a beatbox, but you know that it's that kick that was messing it up. I like the snare though. I like the beatbox snare. All right. Turn this up a little bit. So this kick is real quiet when you do the scribble at the beginning. The kick is very, very quiet. So it's, alright, so it sounded alright. I'm not really feeling that one. Let's move on. I like that one. Let me move a little bit forward. This one is a lot more muffled, but the kick is much more pronounced. I like how the kick sounds, how it's going. But the snare I don't like as much. But let's see how it sounds. So. Sounds alright, but it's very muffled. There's a lot of kind of like garbled undertones that you kind of hear and all that. It's not really clean. It doesn't sound clean. It sounds very muffled. I don't like how this one sounds, because when you do that scribble at the beginning of it, there's those hi-hat kind of sounds that are already in it, and that kind of takes over the sound, so you don't hear that sound of that kick making 4 sounds. You just hear kind of like, you know, that high end kind of making the sound. So yeah, I don't really like how that sounds. Okay, so let's see what's next. All right, so all right. So here we go. See how this sounds way better than that last one we just did, because this one everything is very crisp and clear. See, if it's not, if your sample is not crisp and clear to start out with, people are going to think that you're whack and that you're sounding muffled and you just can't scratch. But if you're using a sample that sounds all muffled and messed up, then it's going to affect how you sound. Like how that last sound was just super, you know, it just wasn't sounding crisp like how this one does. And it sounds like I'm doing it better, but I'm really just doing the exact same thing. I was just doing that, looping it over and over again. So yeah, that one's is cool, but it's still kind of muffled. But it sounded better than the one before it. Now we're gonna try these. So that one, I don't really like how that one sounds. It's very kind of abrasive. Let's try another one. So this one is kind of abrasive. I don't know how it sounds really. So yeah, I don't like how this scratch sounds when there's like a hi-hat over the kick. That's one thing I've been able to ascertain from this. Yeah, it doesn't sound clean. It sounds like, you know, it just sounds sloppy. I don't like that. Here's the next one. That one doesn't sound like clean. Let's try that again. Let's see. All right. Turn this down a little bit. Sloppy. It's very that it's just it doesn't sound crisp as some of those other drums. I like this one better. Not super crisp, but I like it better than the other ones. Yeah, this one I like, because this one, the kick and the snare are very muffled. Sounds more like a Congo player or something. Alright. Again. All right. Oh, we skipped to the next one, so let's try that one. Well, let's go back to that one before, because I was feeling it kind of. Nope, we didn't do that one, do we? Another one. Go back. This is the one. Alright. Yeah, so this is the one. Let's try this. I like this one. Now let's try the cross rhythm. I was just doing the loop. Let's try the cross rhythm version. So. All right. That sounds alright. Let's go to the next. Alright. cool, but it's a lot of bass, a lot of low end. Just kind of sounds unclean, but. See, that kick is so loud. Even if I just make a beat with it, the kick is super loud. So like. Kick is not as defined in the front when you start doing this cross rhythm. It just kind of sounds kind of blurry. Kind of. Let's see. So this scratch, we've been able to kind of figure out that using a very sharp kick is great with it, and then snares that aren't super loud. But some scratches sound great with snares that are super loud, especially if you're doing a lot of clicks, and those clicks can chop up the snare. So this one's probably not going to sound that great because it's got all these hi-hat kind of rides and stuff going on with it. I love the kick. I mean the snare. The snare is real quiet. It doesn't feel like a snare. It just feels like, you know, like some percussion. I like this one, but I don't like the kick that much. That kick is kind of, you know, it's not sharp, but I like the snare. The snare is great. Alright, so let's move on. Nope, not that one. Alright, so see. No, I don't like this one because when you scratch the kick, it has that kind of, it has like somebody's voice kind of sound in it, or just some kind of weird synth or something. Let's see. Oh, it doesn't. So, it's when you speed it up. When you speed it up, it kind of has that percolator pop, but there's just a lot of rumbly kind of bass going with it. So. Sounds alright. I like the snare more than the kick. The kick is, I just don't like it when you start going fast with it. It sounds like a vocal or something. It sounds like somebody's voice. Notice that I was actually controlling the dynamics of the snare. You know, all these, whenever time you're scratching kicks and snares, you know, you can, there's a lot of different variations you can do within it depending on how far you actually move, how far the distance of the flare goes. Because if you make the flare a shorter distance, then you're going to get less of the snare, or maybe you won't get any of the snare because you could do the same combo without using the snare. You could just do the same combo just on the kick drum. But it's not, to me it sounds more interesting when you have the kick and snares together. Alright, next one. Not that one. So this one, I love this one because it's nice and crisp. So this one sounds really good on electro kind of, you know, crisp snares versus like a murky, you know, band or something like that, you know, where the snares are from live drums and it's got the reverb in it and all types of stuff that makes it murky, especially when you start going really fast. That reverb starts going fast, or all these weird sounds start going faster, and it might not sound as good. But this one sounds really, really crisp. So see, it sounds totally different than a lot of those other ones. So. Oops. Alright, so let's do the cross rhythm of this and see what happens. Now what we're going to do is we're just going to do a quick run through of a bunch of different samples and see what it sounds like with different samples. So we heard what it sounds like with different kits. So now let's see what it sounds like with some different samples. Let's see. Let me use the same record that we've been using before. Let's try this one. This is a different one. Super Duck Breaks. I know this is the Turkey, I think Backsliding Turkey or something. So some random samples. See how clean this one? So when I do recordings, I'm probably going to use this like album type of stuff. But you know, usually all these things I'm always doing tutorials. So I'm going to save that for later. So here, let's try it. So, oops. how it sounds with these though. I don't really like all those vocal sample ones because it just sounds kind of bland. I really like how it sounds with these sharp kind of video game sounds. You know, it sounds a lot different than the kind of muffled vocal sounds. I like that. You notice instead of putting a flare there, I'm just replacing it with the forward, or really like a power down one, like a logarithmic drag, or so I'm going, so it's like a log cut, like a. You notice I'm doing these when it's at the start of like a cut off to the sound, like where you don't hear anything and you hear a sound, versus doing it in the middle of a sound.
Hello, what do you want to scratch?
It's very skippy. Alright, I'm going to try it in the center of the sound. Some of these sounds are like these long sounds. I'm just going to try it in the center. I like this one. I like it when it's when the sound has a lot of character to it, and the synthesizer one. Alright, let's try the other side. Might not be a lot of samples on this side, maybe there are. So let's see what it sounds like with the tone. vocal samples that much. So yeah, things with a nice sharp attack sound much better, and a lot of times vocal samples have a much smoother attack, especially compared to like a video game. It's like an 8-bit sound or. I think we're good. Alright, so let's see. So we got this. Let me see, let me put the date down. Today is the 3rd of September. I'll start putting the dates on these things. (2019). Alright, great. So yeah, so this is the Scribble Flare right here that we just did. And below it, I'm going to draw, well, I guess I did that already here, where you can see the chirp flare, how it kind of relates to it, right there. Alright, so I'll just draw a little chirp flare right here, too. Do a little chirp flare, that's like right here, and then right here, right, like that, and then we got this right here, like that. So this is just a regular chirp flare. So it's a chirp, and then a flare. So let's click there and click there. So this is a chirp flare. So this is a chirp flare example. And I'm going to highlight this one a little bit more so you can see that this is it. Alright, so I'm just highlighting that a little bit more. Alright. A little thing right here. Maybe like a. Here we go. So this is a Scribble Flare, so I'll write this down. This is hybrid. This is a hybrid right here. Hybrid. So this is like, you know, if you're just starting off, you can just try slow 2 babies, but this isn't really the way. This is, it's really this way, all right? So it's going waka 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 or waka 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 waka, whereas this is like waka 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 waka. All right. All right. So here we go. All right. We're done. Peace.